Hello and welcome to your astrological vibrations for Monday, June 17th, 2024 by Gaia Blooming. I am Mimi and our energy mantra for today is I am response-able for my stories. And we have some shifts happening today. So as of this recording, Venus has not yet moved into Cancer. Venus will be moving into Cancer on Sunday night, 11:20 p.m. Pacific time. So that means for everybody to the right of that, it'll be happening on Monday. We also are going to have Mercury shifting. Mercury will be moving into the sign of Cancer as well at 2:07 a.m. Pacific time. So that means we're going to have like kind of a double zero day, which is going to be interesting. But I also think it's interesting the shift between Gemini to Cancer. Now, I always say, like, these signs that are next to each other, they have similarities. They have, like, pulls. They have energies. And I think Cancer can also be a storyteller. But here's the difference. My feeling is with Gemini stories, it's like we tell a story and then we, like, fly on Tarzan's vine to the next story, to the next story, to the next thought, to the next thing that's shiny and steals our energy. Cancer doesn't do that. Cancer will tell the story and then dwell in the emotions that come from the story. And so for the next kind of a month with Venus in Cancer, it'll definitely be a month when the Sun moves into Cancer later this week, and for about 2 weeks for Mercury in Cancer. It's zip zooming through these signs right now. We're gonna have some intensive Cancer lessons. Now, Cancer is definitely softer and slower, and Venus in Cancer will give us a chance to like kind of dig in, feel what we need to feel. To me, anything Cancer, like, the immediate thought that I have is snuggling into a blanket with some snacks and anything that you love, your puppy, your kitty, your loved ones, like cuddling up. It's just that time. So Venus in Cancer is time. It's time to snuggle in and feel what you're feeling. But this is where we want to bring our awareness from the Gemini energy to here and notice how much what you're thinking is affecting what you are feeling. Tune into that and recognize your ability to change the story. We still have like 3.5 days of Gemini to really get a grip on our storytelling. And hopefully this Venus and Mercury in Cancer energy can help us recognize the consequences from whatever stories that we're telling. So Venus in Cancer, it's cuddly, it wants commitment, it can be clingy, it can be a little bit needy, but it really just wants to snuggle in, slow down. This is a really beautiful chance to really dig into yin energies. It's also very caring. It's very nurturing. This is a beautiful month of self-care with Venus hanging out in the sign of Cancer. Again, I think the biggest thing to watch is the correlation between stories and emotions. Now, it goes the other way too. Like, this can go both ways. You can have an emotion, and then because you're trying to figure out, well, where did this come from, and start telling stories about it and just make the whole story bigger. So be aware of that. Cancer is one of our most creative energies, and so we want to be very aware of our ability to create within Cancer energy. Cancer energy to me is also very mothering, so a beautiful chance to mother and nurture ourselves and others, but make sure there's a relationship with yourself in it. And the last thing I really want to mention with Cancer, with Venus in Cancer and Mercury in Cancer, we have some strong intuition energy. Now, I always feel like Cancer is like gut inner knowing. It definitely is intertwined with feeling, but this is a really great time, especially with these 2 weeks of Mercury in Cancer, to make sure that you are listening to and honing your intuitive abilities. Now, again, watch for the stories that can come up because sometimes they can be a distraction from listening to our intuition. What I love is that both of these signs are working hand in hand with the moon moving into Scorpio. So again, as of late Sunday night, the moon will be moving through Scorpio, helping to support the watery nature of these planets in Cancer. Because we have the moon in Scorpio, which the moon rules the sign of Cancer, do watch for maybe going a little deeper, maybe going a little darker, and what is the right word? Paranoia. That's the word that comes through. Sometimes Scorpio energy can get a little paranoid, for better or for worse. So watch and see if over the next 2.5 days, till looks like Wednesday morning, if you have a little bit more paranoia than usual, because we'll be feeling that lunar influence just a little bit more strongly. Now, of course, we can always go the other direction with the moon in Scorpio, and rather than paranoia, be pronoia, recognize that everything is working for us, right? Although there's always times, where that paranoia can be helpful. Let's look at the rest of today. We're going to have Mercury and Neptune connecting before Mercury shifts into Cancer. Definitely some interesting dreams I had over the weekend. This can bring some interesting daydreams, delusions, all of that. Most likely to be happening in your sleep. But you may have some what was that feelings? And you might just be processing some really old stuff that's part of that 29-degree Neptune and Pisces energy. It is processy. We're also going to have the moon meeting up with Pluto somewhere in the middle of the night as the moon in Scorpio, gets moving. So that again might have some interesting dream time effects. I also think if you're watching this, on Sunday, sleep might be a little interesting as we have Mercury at that 29th degree and then moving into Cancer. So hopefully we'll move into that, Cancer-y feel, but the morning might be a little interesting. There might be some of that tired Venus in Cancer, I just want to snuggle in, and then some of the wired Gemini energy as it's finishing up the final few degrees that just wants to do fireworks. So definitely some interesting energies. We're also going to have Mercury and Venus meeting in the early morning hours. So especially as you're waking up, pay attention to your thoughts and see if you can have cuddly, nurturing thoughts, especially if you're not wanting to get out of bed, I can have a self-care day even as I work. Monday is one of my love greens days, so I'm I make a lot of the food and the juices for the week, the soup for the week ahead. So making soup is always a comforting thing. So see if you can lean in that direction to support your Monday morning. The moon is also going to be opposing Mars in the afternoon. Mars and Taurus. This day just feels... Let me say, do I have this? Yes, I do have the success card. This is where we want to go. But it might sometimes feel like we're really inching our way to it. Postponement. So as the moon pulls against the Mars energy, with Mars and Taurus and these energies now in Cancer, it just might be kind of slow moving. Try not to get discouraged by any slowness. And again, watch the paranoia and watch any reaction that comes from the paranoia. Now, this last meeting, again, feels significant. We're going to have Mercury reaching an in conjunct with Pluto by the evening. But again, I'm feeling that feel of watch for where your mind goes. So, okay, let me give you my biggest example of paranoia. So, one of my biggest challenges in dealing with immune issues that I've dealt with is exhaustion. And I've had times where I've had so so much exhaustion that I feel like I can't do anything. Like it feels like anti-survival. So anytime I get exhausted, there's a part of me that rises up and like, oh my gosh, am I sick again? Like, is this happening again? Do I have to fight off the buggies? That's what I call them affectionately now, as the buggies. And I get paranoid because it's like, oh, I've seen this happen before and I don't want to do that again. I don't want to be so exhausted again. And I create those paranoia stories because I have an example of it. And so watch for that and see again where you can empower yourself as Mercury and Pluto reach this in conjunct where they don't really know how to work together. How can you nurture your mind in this case and be like, hey, for me, hey, it's okay to be tired. It is okay to get rest. It doesn't mean anything besides you being a human and needing rest and sleep. Things like that can help soften and nurture and can be a sign of growth and maturity. So there we have that maturity card. But watch for that. Watch for where your thoughts start going and see if you can empower any paranoia into pronoia. Okay, so like I said, success. We've got this card. So that feels really nice. Postponement, to me, this card is just a card of moving slow. And I like it. It's the Four of Swords. Go slow with your thoughts today, and it's going to be definitely a little whiplash because, Mercury and Gemini zip, zooming all over the place. And with the sun still in Gemini, we're going to have that temptation. But it's like slow down and see if you can see a bigger picture. Again, this is part of your maturity. And we have the consciousness card. And when we can slow down, we can reach new levels of the consciousness. We can also lean in and listen to that inner voice, to our intuition, which is going to start singing. Just keep in mind, like I said, it's 00 day. Things may get a little wonky. So that's it for today. You can book a reading with me. Email me, mimiclark@gmail.com. And the better it gets, the better it gets. There's more than enough love in the world for you. You have the power. And remember who you are, for you are the solution. Namaste.